And welcome everybody to our new night, Monday night. Yes, Marky needed to have Sunday off. It's enough already. 2 years, time I earned to have my weekends completely off. But welcome back everybody. It does appear to me that last week I introduced something new to all of you and failed to give you all of the information. So I kind of corrected that, and I'm going to replay the re-edited song, give you a little more information about that, and then we will get to our special guest, Sheila Holm. So here we go.
Children are the center of our world, and we do our best to show them that we care. But evil is lurking everywhere to steal their youth, kill their souls, show them things that they should never know. We live in the craziest of times, you never know what's in another's mind. We keep them safe, protect from bad, but they just choose to make them sad and keep their evil rituals alive. Who saves the children? We do. Who keeps them safe and warm and so secure? We do. Who saves the children? We do. And we'll fight to death to keep it safe for you. We'll fight for what's right with all of our might, and we won't leave one single child behind. They've been here since the dawn of time, and their actions take a twisted mind. But we won't stand no more. We'll track them down for sure and make sure that they are gone forevermore. Why can't you see the crimes committed on our kids by the powers that be? How long do we wait? How many must die? How many loving parents need to cry? Who saves the children? We do. Who keeps them safe and warm and so secure? We do. Who saves the children? We do. We'll fight to death to keep it safe for you. We'll fight for what's right with all of our might, and we won't leave one single child behind. Who keeps them safe and warm and so secure? We do. Who saves the children? We do. And we'll fight to death to keep it safe for you. We'll fight for what's right with all of our might, and we won't leave one single child behind.
Now, that was kind of the part of it that I forgot to mention last week, aside from the fact that if any of you want to download the song, this, as I had said, was a labor of love. I just didn't indicate to you that this was my own personal labor of love, that I wrote the song and performed the song and edited and everything else. But for me to be able to do more to help these kids and help them be rescued, help them be rehabilitated to the best that can be done, and do everything that's possible, that's why I did this. So information will be available everywhere. Hopefully all of my friends out there will be sharing this and putting up the information for the download. That being said, and that being introduced, we have a big show ahead with the one and only one of my favorite people, Miss Sheila Holm. Welcome, Sheila.
Well, thank you. What a song and what a presentation. Nobody's talking about grooming. I'm so glad you brought Michelle Peterson on. She's just amazing. The only grooming law in America, in Illinois, and she's trying to get it in other nations. And it's the focus of our president. This is a McNaughton oil painting that I was given. I still haven't had a chance to frame it. And that's what Warp Speed was about. It's still Warp Speed. It's still the children. It's still get as many home to the families as you can, but some of them were gone so young they don't even know who their families are. It's just, there's a process. And the treatment to them. It's just emotional. Just thank you for what you're doing.
It's so very near and dear to my heart, and it is emotional. I wish you hadn't said that, because now you got me going. But it is.
It's your fault. It's your fault you played it. I'm just sitting here listening, watching.
It's a very, very emotional thing. It's been very, very near and dear to my heart. I've done many episodes of respect in regard to child trafficking and had many survivors on. I don't want anybody to ever forget that this has happened. And the president stated right from the get-go that it's all about the children. And I believe that 100%. I have very, very deep feelings for our veterans. I want to do as much as I can to also help the veterans, but children are helpless. They don't ask to be brought into this world. They don't ask for any of the evil that's been brought upon them. They don't ask for people to be doing the things that they're doing. They're the helpless victims here. And anything that we can do for the survivors is just the most important thing in the world to me. So,
well, there's a wonderful program. Nobody really talks about it, and they're all shocked that I knew about it, but the president made it very clear. There's so many layers to this. You've mentioned all of it. You've mentioned the military. You mentioned the families. You mentioned the people bringing them out. You've mentioned the people doing rescue trips, all these different things. And nobody else is mentioning the grooming. So again, I just want to thank you for including that, because all it takes is get them to make one trip with a groomer. They take their phone and you never see them again. And so the grooming law, and it's teachers, it's principals, it's school people, it's neighbors, it's there's so much, and so many were hurt when they were young that now they're hurting again to our generations. And so it's just, there's so much to this, and that you took this step is so amazing. But Ivanka has a significant structure for all of this, because there's so many that may never get back with their families. There's so many that were so young, and the children were having children on purpose to keep having body parts in children. And it's just been a horrific. It's so much worse than we could have possibly imagined. And she has set up a program for all of this, so that as soon as they get them available, because of course the pedophile guys are taken out to be tried right away, because these are all major crimes. And so because it's thousands and thousands of children, and it's all the states are involved, it's global, it's bases, it's so much bigger than you can imagine. And so that whole structuring of that to keep the privacy and not make it a public thing, and not try and put them out there, because they don't need just regular care. They need very, very special care, because a lot of them have been gone for a long time. And so, and since they were very, very young on purpose, and from daycares and kindergarten, and I mean, it's just, and the teachers being involved. And that's why I introduced you to Michelle Peterson. How powerful now, her son's a Marine. But now he's able to help other young boys, don't let them say this to you or this to you. Don't let them do this, because she had to have the police department replace those text messages because the groomers tell them to remove the text messages so the parents don't see them. And guys, it's happening with stepfathers and stepmothers too. It's a plan against our generations, and it's so thorough. And you really covered it. I don't know how you put all this together so quickly. This is just, it's an amazing thing, Mark. Thank you.
Well, it wasn't quickly. I've been working on it for quite a while, but over the 6 weeks that I was not doing new shows, I worked on it. And the hardest part was just doing the song itself. It was already written. I had already written it. It was just a matter of doing the song and getting that done, and then collecting the stuff for the video. And thankfully, I don't remember who brought it to my attention, but somebody brought to my attention the animated video, the AI video from Spiritual Street Fighter. And that added a lot to it. That added a lot of very important video to it. So it was a huge plus. But no, the kids out there are being targeted in so many different places. And the agenda that's been pushed through in schools, and the way that parents, because they're too busy, because they both have to work, or because they're just not aware of things, are missing all of the signs. And that's why I was glad I was able to find that clip. One of the most important things was having Timothy Ballard in there. Because there he is. But yeah, Michelle went through it, and she went through it in such a smart way. And last time I spoke to her, I had asked her how her son was doing. And very, very proud of the way it turned out. And these are rough times, and people have to be aware of it. And I think that, which kind of leads us to the topic for tonight, where people see all kinds of things going on. People see all kinds of stuff posted on Telegram and X and everywhere else, but are still in that, and I've said this a bunch of times before, are still in that MSM mindset. And they're waiting for people to tell them what's going on, and lose sight of the fact that this, I've said it a billion times, I can't say it enough, it's a military operation. We're on a need-to-know basis, and we just plain don't need to know. But people are starting to lose faith in it because they don't see things happening quickly enough. A lot of people are hurting badly. They're in desperate positions, and it's gotten to be pretty bad. So when we look at it, and one of the things that you mentioned in talking about the video was Operation Warp Speed. Now, I've got that video of yours that kind of addresses everything, where all of that came from. Do you want to get into that right now?
We can, because faith and getting tight with the Father and operating in truth is what's going to get us all through this. We cannot do what the guys are doing. We cannot do anything that the military operations are clearing up for us. We can't do what ICE is doing, but please keep watching and looking at what's happening. We've got people in the justice system protecting these illegal people who have already raped and murdered our family members. We have people in the corporations that are doing it. We have people and they were doing this in the military. Some of the guys who came home and committed suicide, it wasn't because of PTSD. It was because they had to fly these children to these. It's happening in there too. There's so much that Department of War is now cleaning up. There's so many. There was a whole thing today where one of the people in the Seditious Six is out there saying, we can't go back to the Department of War. It's going to cost us millions of dollars to change all the titles and everything else. Nobody had the right to take us to a Department of Defense and have us defending everything all around the world. But guys,
Things,
look at the layers that we're finding. So if you think nothing's happening and you think it's not, and a lot of people have been quiet about it, but the warriors are ready. They're in their homes. They're getting their families united. They're getting their neighbors, some of their neighbors united. There's effort that's happening, but we've got to stay out of the fray of the stuff that's happening with ICE and everything else. But the war is here. It's already been here. The elections have been acts of war with other nations, not just with the people who are fighting against us in our own poll centers. I mean, just war is everywhere around us. We just have to pray and know what we can each do. But I would love to get into the war that's here and also what President Trump, why he's doing May 17, because that's real critical. So whatever you'd like to head into, I'm ready.
well, just to comment on what you were just talking about, I always look at this stuff as stemming from two things. When you go back to when I grew up, you're talking in a situation of, you always heard money's the root of all evil. And that's already been a proven fact, okay? Because everything with the judges, everything with the media, everything with big business, it's all about the mighty dollar. And how do you corrupt these people? You corrupt them with the dollars. They buy and they sell the elections. Once they're in there, they own them. That's why they go and they make campaign finance the way that it is, why it costs so much to run for a congressional seat, why it costs so much to run for a senatorial seat, because these are the people who make the laws, and they sure as hell ain't making them for us. They're making them for them. And then you've got these corrupt judges who are on the take, who are put in place purposely to buck what's right, in spite of the fact that my business shows on an ongoing basis, or has the capability, I should say, of showing on an ongoing basis, the irrefutable proof of these same senators and congresspeople talking in a complete 180 from what they're saying now in regard to illegal immigration, in regard to having these criminals just caught and released, all of the things that they complain about now. These are the same people who brought ICE to us, who created ICE. But when it suits their narrative, it's no good. And these are the things that we're fighting. But unfortunately, too many people don't look at it in that direction. And so this is where we're really stuck at this point in time. But let's get into May 17th, because that's a very, very, very interesting date.
In Norway, it's a very interesting day, Saint Mai. My dad's family is Norwegian, and so May 17 is very important to the Norwegians in the world. But May 17 is going to be the rededication, the covenant renewed with America, with the Lord over all. Aleph, we've talked about that on the putting signature on our nation during 3 eclipses in 7 years instead of 75 to 90 years. That's how urgent everything is for this nation right now. And then gave us 6 cities of Nineveh, gave us, I'm trying to tell you, get tight with me because the time is near. And when he got the 10 tribes of the north of Israel that are considered lost tribes to this day, because he gave them all the uninhabited lands around the world, and a lot of them came to America, all of North America, Canada, that was supposed to be part of America originally, South America, Aborigines, Greenland. I mean, they just went all these uninhabited lands. And so they were taken out of Nineveh, and Nineveh and Assyria were no more. So a lot can change in a matter of a very short period of time. And so covenanting with the Lord in America is a key thing, because we talked, I think, briefly about the 1607 landing. The 1607 landing did a covenant, but they did a covenant with Britain. and that Britain and America were going to unite together and evangelize and blah, blah, blah. The Pilgrims knew we left Britain behind us. Britain is not us. We're independent with liberty and freedom with the only living Lord. And that's why the faith monument. So faith is at the top, and then the four pillars are morality. You look internally where Christ is, law, equal justice, equal mercy. If you don't have mercy, you don't have justice. If you don't have justice, you don't have mercy. So it's to handle that. Then it's the mother teaching the children. And on the side panels, you can see the grandparents mentoring the children. And that's why the fight in the school system to trust the government, your parents and grandparents are going to die. Everything in the 45 points in the new book is all about destruction of the family. Because if you can do divide and conquer, because if the family isn't united, you can take over a nation much, much easier. And that's what the brown shirts were back in World War II. Get the young people working with the government against the parents and the grandparents and set them aside. And because they're all going to die. But the government's always going to be here for you. But is it here for you? Anyway, so that's what has been going on. So faith is the direction of this. That's why at the top of the faith monument, faith is pointing up to heaven and holding the Bible in the left hand. And that's why the president held up the Bible and said, this is our rule of law, back when they were burning down DC. Remember, he went back to the church back behind and he held the Bible up in the air and he said, this is our rule of law. And so now we're trying to put the 10 Commandments back in the schools, and we're putting the 10 Commandments back in our court systems and in our courthouses, and we're trying to get it all back. But will we follow the 10 Commandments? Because it was Constantine that put us on the venerable day of the sun. Will we come back to Sabbath and honor the Sabbath and keep it holy and honor your mother and father and not have any other gods before you? Will we do this? It's a big question. Will we make this happen? And so, but the covenant with the Lord over all is a huge step, and that is set up for May 17. So when he sent it out, came out from the prayer breakfast on Thursday morning. And when he sent it out, it was religion and faith and God. And God, he makes God the boss. He knows that. Christ is a savior. He knows that. But to say religion, because in the Bible, it's the only undefiled religion is in James. And it's see to the needs of the widows and the orphans. And I think I sent a picture from the prayer breakfast. I don't know if it's available, but it has that quote, because that's what fathers had me do. I was 12 years without a roof over my head after the corporation trial. And so as I was traveling the country, he had me take care of widows all over the country. And then it expanded as he showed me. The single mothers have children who have orphans' hearts because the direct line of authority is through the Father on earth to the Father in heaven. And so my job expanded. No matter where I was, I had almost as many single mothers as I did have widows. And so that process of helping them has revealed so much to me. And Father knew the end from the beginning. Picture them. They've never been on, a lot of the widows have never been on a computer, don't need to go on a computer, don't have any interest in going on a computer. And for how many years have they said, if you have any questions about your account, go to www. They didn't even know what www was. And then now we've gone way beyond where it's AI. And if you don't answer these questions in AI and do texting on your smartphone, they don't want a smartphone. They don't want to do these things. Father knew. He knows the end from the beginning, and how the single mother's children would have orphans' hearts. And as I've talked about it on interviews, people raised by single mothers have been in tears. Every time they meet me in person, they go, I never knew. I never knew what was wrong. I knew there was something wrong. But Mom worked 3 or 4 jobs and she kept food on the table and we had a loving relationship and everything seemed fine. But I had an orphan's heart and I didn't know how to identify what was wrong. And a lot of the children whose father leave the home, they go out on drugs, they end up on the street. There's just so much destruction that they've done to the structure of the family in order to divide and conquer, to take over nations. And it's happened in all the nations. There's several points in the new book of the 45 points on how to destroy a family. So what I wrote was the answer that it's not really religion, because we talk about religion, people talk about religious spirits. What the heck is that? There's a Holy Spirit. But who are these other spirits? You got to be careful the voices you're listening to if you're listening to other spirits, because that's a whole different side of life. So here we are coming through the best we can. And now our president is giving us the opportunity, because cultures don't last 250 years. Constantine did this to believers 250 years after Christ left earth. Christ didn't participate in any of this. He didn't do any of this. He said, pray to the Father, Lord's Prayer. And he said, I only do what I see the Father do, and I only say what I hear the Father say. That's how what we're supposed to see and say and hear and do. What are we doing? We're doing it all based on what we want to do. And so it's a major shift. And so to say nothing's being done, it's we the people in order to form a more perfect union. We cannot clean up the horrific corporation structure, the finances, the currency rates. We can't ourselves clean all of that up. So what they want us to do is be distracted and go, did you know Trump isn't doing this? Did you know Trump's changing and doing the gas prices, but the egg prices are bad? I mean, we got to stop. We just got to stop being distracted, stop getting on those paths, stop listening to all of that stuff, get with your family, start having meals together. I mean, why do you suppose Hermes, and he's the guy that put the whole medical plan together, congratulations, and he's the one that that stands for that. The medical symbol is his rod. It's the rod of Hermes and a double snake. Nobody else in the world has that. And they knew it was wrong when they made the medic emblems back in 1902. And they never corrected it. They were supposed to adjust it. They never adjusted it on purpose. They want the double snake. It's been double against us and Hermes. And what else is he? Athletes, sports, travelers, thieves, trickery. And what are the sports doing? You can't do Sabbath from Friday night to Saturday night because you got football games on Friday night, basketball games on Friday night. You got soccer now on Saturday plus football and baseball. And you got it on Saturday night and you got it on Sunday too, because they really don't care. But that's Hermes. That's his influence over all this, and the trickery and the thievery and the travelers. And that's who these people work with, because there's only two kingdoms, the other gods and ours.
This is what I said before in regard to the brainwashing from the mainstream media, because if you look at it, especially looking at it from the point of view of if you're quote unquote a patriot. And I always go back to Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. Now, look, everybody's got the right to their opinion. Everybody's got the right to protest, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not something that you do on our time. You do that on your time. And when you're on TV, you're on the field, that is our time. People are paying to be in the stadium. Probably at least half of them are patriots. Probably at least half of the people who are watching on TV are patriots. You have just insulted half of your patrons, half of the people who are paying your salary, half of the people who are giving you the right to do this, when you've got 6 other days in the week that you could be doing this. You have some people on the Olympic team now who are trash talking the United States. They're United States Olympians, and they're trash talking the United States. Why are you there on my dime? And these are the types of attitudes that get pushed out there instead of the proper attitudes. But people would rather sit and watch the Olympics or watch the Super Bowl with that trash halftime show that they had and all of these other sports than spend time with their families, than spend time. You know, I've said for a long time, you want to go watch a football game, go down to your local high school, watch a football game. Watch the kids play. But instead, you'd prefer to spend a fortune to go to a stadium and have these idiots go and entertain you and then put you down at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. Again, the brainwashing. This is part of what we have to get beyond. This is part of what we have to get people to recognize. And the way that they're trying to do it, it's the same way that they were brainwashed. Wash, rinse, repeat. You got to do the same thing, but with the proper information. So getting back to May 17th, it was interesting that he chose that day, and that this is something my wife brought up to me numerologically yesterday, the Super Bowl. I forget the exact, all of the exact numbers, but 7 being godly numbers. It was 70 years, I think 7 months and 7 days or something since the state of Israel was created. And Super Bowl was being played at Levi Stadium in San Francisco. President chooses May 17th as his day, and that is exactly 7 full weeks from the 4th of July, our 250th birthday. So all these lineups of 7s lend it to be a very, very spiritual time, and shows that this is being guided, not just militarily, but spiritually also. I think that's something I can't say for sure that that's what it is. Again, we have no idea what the plan is or how they're going to carry it through or when it's going to end. But a lot of this does make sense for those who do follow numerology or gematria or any of that. So, any opinion on that?
Well, it's been from the very, very beginning. It was the whole thing between the president and Benjamin Netanyahu when he came in 2017, according to the number of months, days, years, since his birth, and number for Netanyahu, and it matched up with inauguration day for the president, and I think it was the president and Netanyahu for the election day. It's just all of these figures I've been sharing for a long time. But this is Father's plan. So to get frustrated with it's taking so long, we have so many layers of so much evil that the enemies, foreign and domestic, don't know how you could even match it up or count them. There's just so much that our guys are having to deal with, but they know how to deal with it. But for us to be distracted and be focused on it, I can't change any of that. I don't know anyone listening that can change any of that. It's all been planned out as to how it all needs to happen, with moves and counter moves. It's way over my pay grade, way over my ability to understand all of these things. I can see what's happening and see what they're trying to tell us is happening, but I've got to do what I can do, boots on ground. There was a wonderful short little video about what was happening in Minnesota where President Trump sent out a message, and he said, I sent VP J.D. Vance. Do whatever you can to help them. And they declined the help. So then he sent Holman, and he said Holman, with all these 40 years experience and all these things, knows all these things, can help him. He's going to volunteer to do whatever that can happen. And so he's meeting with them, and he's going to give me a full report. They declined to help. So he said, so now I'm going to send David, I think is his name, or Gerald. The guy's name was simple. And he said, so he's going to go and he's going to see exactly what they need. And then he's going to report back to me because he knows exactly how to resolve all of this. And then he goes, I didn't tell you his last name. And I think his name was like Gerald Gallagher or something like that. So anyway, he's this major, major guy over the 101st Airborne. And the 187th Infantry also was sent. And here's the guys working on the helicopters. And he said, oh, did I tell you I'm sending them by helicopter? They're not sending by helicopter to land in a Walmart and get out and see how people are doing and to chat with the neighbors, They're coming down on ropes.
Yep.
From the helicopters into the situation to take care of the situation, and the moment needs to be taken care of to get it done. When? Today. No more of this foolishness. We've tried and tried and tried, so we're done because we're going to protect the American people. We can't keep focusing on that. But here was a wonderful video that was on that. There was a short video as the guys were hooking up to check all the connectors to put the ropes on for the guys. And they were going through all of this to get everything ready and get all the equipment ready for taking off. And here was a voice said, the Lord had prompted me. Will you go? And I said, yes, Lord, you can send me. And it was so powerful. I'm not saying it as beautifully as it was said by that soldier. It's emotional to hear this because they're sacrificing everything. But where we've been is we've been sending our guys all over the world to do all this stuff all over the world. We didn't realize how vulnerable that left us. And now they come home and find out America's a complete disaster. There are husbands and wives coming home from serving our nation, and the family were helping with the children. And CPS decided that the aunts and uncles and the grandparents, according to the teachers, et cetera, at school, who are not necessarily for you, even as the parents, decided they should go into foster care, and now they can't find the children. And we're not focused on helping them. Again, it comes down to what can I do in my town, in my village, in my city, in my county, in my state. We need to stay focused on that, because if we don't have that going in a better role than where we are right now, what difference does it make when we get all this done? Why do you want it done quickly? You're not ready in your village or town or city or state. You're not. The counties, the people running the budgets, you're still not looking and seeing what those people are doing. We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union. So we have a lot to do. It's us. Theodore Roosevelt told us, the man in the arena. It's us, guys. The government is you and me. There's nobody else coming to fix any of this. It's you and me. We got to do this. So
we're the ones who abandoned the candy store. You know, it's as simple as that. We became the absentee landlords. And did we do it of our own free will? Absolutely. Were we, to a certain extent, coerced into doing it? Absolutely. You know, all the advents of technology, people would rather go and wait online for an iPhone for 3 days than go on election day and vote. People would rather go and, you know, again, watch a football game than sit down and read a book with their kids. It's all of these different things. All of the priorities have gotten screwed up. And it was done on purpose to destroy the family, which is the glue that holds society together. You know, yeah, it takes a village, but it takes a family. That's the start of that village. And people have just lost sight of that. That's why, you know, they don't go to school board meetings and they let these things happen in the schools. They let these agendas go through that corrupt the kids, that allow people who shouldn't be teachers to be teachers, and allow it to a situation whereby these teachers are tenured in, and then you can't get rid of them without them committing an actual crime. So we have a lot of culpability in this. And this is where the people have to wake up and take charge with it. But as far as going and worrying about the structure, worrying about what's going on, you know, with the military, what's going on with the plan, it's one thing that they shouldn't be worried about. Let the plan be. What you were just talking about with Minnesota. Why don't more people realize that this particular game that they're playing has been going on for definitely for decades, if not a century or more.
From the beginning of the nation. The takeover was, we've been a captured operation from the beginning. Well, that's point 43 of the 45 points. Sad to say, but we've never been independent. We've never been free.
No, because that partisanship, everybody with their own agenda playing, I've compared it many times to sports teams. You know, my team's better than yours, your team sucks, and we're going to do it this way. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be there taking care of our business. They work for us. But instead, they play the partisan card, and nothing gets done. The question's been asked a million times. You know, How could you oppose the law? But yet out and out, that is exactly what they're doing. These same people who created ICE are now telling me that ICE doesn't have the right to do what they're doing. Same people who created these laws to keep immigrants coming into the country legally are the ones telling us that we have no right to detain them because they have the right to be here. And with our money, they have the right to support them. These are the things that the people, rather than worrying about the little things, like how the plan is going and when it's going to end, et cetera, need to be focusing on. Absolute. You know, and we as journalists and as researchers and everything else are trying to get that point across to people. But also there are plenty of people out there who are just on that same social media that's now become the new MSM and just as fake and phony as the original MSM is, putting stuff out there. Like I saw somebody post on X the other day, a picture of the president from obviously decades ago with little Ivanka. He's in a tux and she's in some kind of a dress. And it was right after more of the Epstein stuff came out, trying to push forward an agenda. And I had to reply to that. You know, stop trying to push an agenda. That's not Trump and some girl from Epstein Island. That is Ivanka as a child. This is the evil that we're dealing with. These are the directions that people try to push the stuff in. And these are the things that we need to stop. Question is, how? What would you think?
It's there's a lot of people who are ready to do things that have been quiet at home. I see a major shift in the people interested in doing something, figuring out how to do something. I see a major shift. We're still going to have people that have been so busy in their own lives that they haven't caught up with what's going on, that seem a little frustrated. But I think we're making great headway because people are starting to realize there's a lot more for us to do than we thought. There's a lot more layers that we have to deal with that they didn't even know existed. We have a lot of people handling a lot of things, and we just have to be careful of all the words that come from us, especially in writing on social media, like you were saying, because Kash Patel doesn't have to do what he's doing. Pam Bondi doesn't have to do what she's doing. They don't have to put their names out there. They don't have to have their lives threatened every day. And we can't feed into that. We just cannot feed into that. And there's lots of stories about Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino knew from the beginning, said from the beginning, by January 1, he's going to go back to doing what he's doing. And that's what he did. And they made a big deal about, oh, he had to get out of there because it was so bad. And he was in there to find the mole in the Secret Service because he was in the Secret Service. Stop the stories. When we don't know, let's just be quieter about it that we don't know. Until we know, we don't know.
But the people can't, for whatever reason. They can't help.
Because they get excited about the headlines because we've been indoctrinated. We've been programmed. So you want the headlines. You want to know how it goes. You want to know what's happening now. And we've got a lot of great things happening in this covenant. President and Melania gave us a message back January 9 at the Jimmy Carter funeral. It was right after I found out all the prices about the Panama Canal. And as soon as I did that, the team said, so what else is left? I said, well, to tell you the truth, if we really want to turn this country around, now that we can resecure the Panama Canal, and now look what's happened, Cuba, Colombia, Venezuela, Mexico, we couldn't deal with any of that until we took control back of that canal. We were paying for everything, but we didn't have a voice about anything. And the president confirmed that last December. He confirmed it in December 24, because the book came out in 25. So he confirmed it. And then they said, is there anything else? They said, we've got to go back to the truth that the Pilgrims gave us. And look what he's doing now. They did a covenant to the Lord. And when they came to the Carter funeral, look at what Melania was wearing.
Why is this still up there? Hold on for a second. Let me get rid of this. I don't know why that's... It will not...
Do I have to do it?
Let me get rid of this. See if I can get rid of this. And then we can... Huh. I can't get rid of it. Try, see if you can put it up. Take it back to here.
I don't know how we do this, but I'll try and figure this out. Just edit name or remove from studio. So it's not on my side. It has to come in from your side.
On my side. Let me see if I can here, remove from stage. Now let's go back to there. There we go. That's what we're looking for.
All the way down to her ankles. This design was a Valentino in 2019 on the stages around the world. And it was on a lapel on a jacket. She turned it in the demeanor, the hair, the flat shoes, the black all the way to the ankle. She came in as a pilgrim woman. It was just so powerful. And I did so many interviews that day because people were like, what is going on? What is going on? And then, you know, what's funny? They wanted to know why John Lennon's song, Imagine There's No Hell. And I said, do you realize it was at Rosalind's funeral? Not just President Carter. It was on Rosalind's funeral. John Lennon's song, Imagine. Because he was supposed to be a Sunday school teacher. I said, yeah, that's what he said. So is Stephen Colbert. Nighttime on TV. Supposed to be a Sunday school teacher. Wait till you find out about him. We didn't know who these people were. But when that gave to me, so I said, guys, what do you think? And they go, Sheila, get the book done. He's ready. You have to be. But that was an example to me that, yeah, all the depth of what you put in this book, we got you. You go ahead and put it out. And it was so telling because, guys, if we would have done what the Pilgrims wanted and banned the church structure, because none of this religion stuff has ever helped any of us. It's only about the truth and the relationship with the only living Lord. You're either with him or the dead gods. You choose. Like Elijah said, choose who you serve because there's only one that's alive. And so there's only one you can have a relationship with, and there's only one that's truth, and the other one is death. And so the breath of life comes from him. So you choose what you want to do. And if we would have stayed in that they wanted 500 years, but by 250 years, we were in the Civil War. And over 700,000 majority fathers, some young men not married yet, but engaged, most of them at that age. And they were going to have families, strong, believing men. And it's tough for me now to even use the word Christian because they put Christian on all this stuff that has nothing to do with Christ because it's all Gentile worship that Constantine, who worshiped the sun god and wore the Sol Invictus ring, who set up the Holy Roman Catholic Church. And I'm sorry, guys, but the word Catholic just means universal. And he wanted everybody worshiping the same thing on the venerable day of the sun because they were worshiping the sun god. And he died 12 years later, and we're still doing it. So he died in 337. And they built this up from 312 to 325. The Nicene Council is a Gentile worship, and we're doing the Nicene Creed and prayers to the Holy Roman Catholic Church in all of our churches. Doesn't matter what division you are, doesn't matter and you call it a religion. But when people say, well, I'm Jewish or I'm Catholic, I said, what do you want me to say? I'm Lutheran? And I don't go around saying I'm Lutheran because even Martin Luther said, don't ever make this about me. It's always about the Father. Don't do this. And we didn't learn. And so we thought, oh, Lutheranism is really neat, and whatever. But we all learn things because of the different religions. And all of them have some truth. but they don't have all the truth. And that's our problem. So we don't just have the liars lying to us. We've been lied to about what we think we believe, what we think, who we think we're supposed to be, who we think we are, whose we think we are. That's what's happened to us. And it's really sad. It is really, really sad that that has happened to us.
Well, it's
So,
become religion. We discussed this the last time. Religion has become the great divide in the world.
mhm.
You know, it's
That's what they wanted. Look at all these different breakdowns. And we thought Jehovah's Witness was horrible. Well, Jehovah's Witness knew not to celebrate your birthday or these weird holidays of these of the pagans. And we went for it. I mean, we didn't know. And so then the Seventh-day Adventists, and I got all of these in my family because I got a huge family on both sides. And so we have Seventh-day Adventists too, because of North Dakota. Mom and dad were married up in when they were living up in North Dakota. And so the Seventh-day Adventists only worship on Saturday, don't eat pork. And there's things about that in the Bible. And so there's all these different things that we didn't know. But every one of these religions were human interpretations of how you should put it all together. But it was men wanting you to follow men. The Wesley brothers didn't want anything to do same as Whitefield when he came to America and did the first Great Awakening back in 1740. Because he was trying to clean it up before we did the Revolutionary War, because they could see what happened, because they were from Oxford in England. And he came with the Wesley brothers, and everybody loved the Wesley brothers so much, they took their method of what they taught and made it Methodist. I mean, all of these are just, it's in my Storehouse Principle book, that everything's just a knockoff of one, and everybody has pieces of the truth, but nobody has the whole truth. I mean, Luther was a Catholic priest, and if he hadn't put those 95 theses on the wall at Wittenberg and nailed it in and said, you got to quit doing all these indulgences with all this money, it was never about money, they got mad at him. And so then everybody said, well, let's not do anything about that. But the Lutheran Church to this day is all about that. Every church is. And nothing about tithing was ever about money. It was always about bringing a tithe of your increase that Father gave you. So you had what? A blessing for somebody or for everybody, because sometimes you would bring a calf or a lamb or something, or chickens or whatever. And, and then you had what? A testimony. Look what my Father did for me, and now I can do this for you. We don't even live that way. And yet we say that we're tight with him. So the whole thing has been a lie. So if you don't think there's anything you can do, you can help us clean all of that up by May 17th, because guys, it would be wonderful to have so many souls just seek the Father. Just seek the Father. I put something out on Twitter. I don't know if I sent it to you, Mark. It's a little rabbit, and he's just looking up. And no matter how far you've gone away from the Father, you're never more than one step back. So just put that one step forward and just say, Father, I just want to be with you. And people go, well, I think you should go through a repentance program. And I think you should do all this unforgiveness and clear your slate. Yeah, that'd be great. But guess what? I learned everything from the Father. And I had people telling me, and this is a direct quote from someone in the Women's Aglow. I see you traveling all over the world, Sheila, and we're really worried about you. And I said, who's worried about me? And she said, well, she just kept saying very generically, we're really worried about you because you're supposed to be 8 years of mentorship with someone in the leadership of the body of Christ who's been in the seminary and then out of the seminary and a leader for 13 years. I said, 8 years and 13 years? Where did this come up? How did this come up? And they couldn't answer. And I said, now who's worried about me again? And they said, what do you mean? I said, take it up with the Father. He's the one sending me. You think that Father's sending you all over the world? And I said, I have no way to do it. Well, it's probably Satan. I said, you think Satan wants me in Africa for the coronation of a king to be a witness to come back to Bishop McKinney who couldn't go and find out after I got back that he's in San Diego? And because I'm in San Diego, he wanted to meet. And when we met, God had me stay up all 3 days and 3 nights in between. And all I could do was just take a shower. Well, the cover letter, I said, what do you want me to tell this Bishop McKinney? And God said, well, tell him this and tell him I took you here. And then tell him I did this and tell him I took you here. And then tell him we went over here. And then we went to this country. And I put it all together. It was 150 pages, but I didn't sleep for those 3 days in between of you need to come and meet with me, and me meeting with him. So when I met with him, he took the whole, my hair was so wet from the shower, I put it up in clips. Didn't have any time to fix myself at all. Got to his office. He took the whole 150 pages, flipped it upside down, put his hand on it, and went through the whole thing. And I never named anybody. I never named a ministry. He knew every name. I said, how'd you know I was at Promise Keepers? I said a men's ministry, but I didn't say Promise Keepers. He said, well, I'm their chaplain and I'm on their board. And I know what you did because I know when you were there. I'm like, what? And then Kingsley Fletcher, I said, I never put his name in there. And he goes, well, when he was being crowned king, I couldn't go. So I said, God, send a witness who will come back and give me the testimony. Father does all of this. All we have to do is take that one step. And that's what the president wants us to do, is to make a covenant with him. And for people who think he's some kind of a young Christian, you have no idea the depth of who that president is. He's operating in 5D communication. And the only you can do that with the president, with the Lord. The only way he could do that. And he said, you know, I learned how to pray as a development person, and I know how to pray for a development, but whoa, praying for a nation and all of the people and everything that we need to do, that's a whole different way to pray. And the reason why I can tell you, I know how tight he is with him. When I'm traveling with the Lord, in every 10 days, I probably put 3 nights my head on the pillow. Otherwise, I'm just with him. Because if I don't get 3.5 hours, I just stay with him. And then I stay as energized the next day as though I had a night's sleep. And everybody worries about that. But I'll tell you what God told me. Tell him it's okay, because I don't sleep either. He never sleeps. And so he's always there for you. It doesn't matter what hour of the day. You can't call me. You can't call Mark. I got this going on. Can you guys help me fix this? And can you tell me what to do? That's not why we're here. We're here to stand with you, so that if it is your desire to fully and completely just surrender. There's nothing better. That's all I can tell you. There's nothing better. I never could have come through the 12 years without a roof over my head without the Father. I never could have done, and before I didn't have a roof over my head, he had me all over the world. And I never could have handled everything all over the world. By going all over the world, if he wasn't handling everything at home, he has to prompt the people to do things. He has to prompt the people to do all these things. Nobody knows the end from the beginning but the Father. So what the president's trying to do is get with the Father. Because he's with the Father, he's being directed as to what to do. And we each need to be with the Father to know exactly what we need to do. And that's why he's saying God, faith, and what he means by religion is commit to him. See to the needs of the fatherless, because they have no way out but you. You're my boots on ground. You're my voice. Will you go in my name? Can you say, send me? That was so powerful in that military video, just a short little video. And they went to Minneapolis the next day.
And this is really what the whole thing has been about. I mean, there has been no doubt about the fact that this is a spiritual movement.
Mm-hmm.
But most people, again, are so locked into the religious aspect of it and not looking at it from the difference between spirituality and religious covenant. Because religion, you can go back to the beginning of time. Religion got hijacked by people who wanted power and control. That's really what it's all about. That's what the world's always been about from the get-go. It's power and control. And they get it because everybody, instead of, as you said, going to the one, going to the Father, dealing with the Father, sensing and hearing and feeling the Father, they believe what these zealots say. And they follow the mundane and many times ridiculous laws that they've put out there, quote unquote, in the name of God, that have nothing to do with God. And I've said this 1,000,001 times too. There has been no doubt in my mind over the 10 years or so that I've been dealing with this, that God's hand has been involved in it. Because if it wasn't, absolutely, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I wouldn't have met half the people that I've met and dealt with. I wouldn't have been driven to do what I did as far as the song was concerned or any of the other stuff that I've done. These things are there for a reason. But people have to get into the swing of things. And the phrase I've used a number of times is people have to get away from selfishness and back to selflessness. Because that's how we're going to survive, is when we become that brotherhood of mankind, as opposed to a bunch of individuals worrying about what each of us can get. You know, bring that calf, bring that chicken. But a lot of people just, the brainwashing is too thick. Brainwashing is too heavy. And now they're getting a lot of people, which is why I said about the losing faith. I understand that a lot of people are hurting, but a lot of people really did get into this movement for the wrong reason. And a lot of the things that they were promised with the currency exchanges and all of the different ways toward a financial independence that were coming to them. And then they would go and do all these good things. But there's so many opportunities for them to do good things that don't even have to cost them a penny. It costs them nothing more than their own time. But they're all waiting for that payday. And to me, my own personal opinion, they're in this movement for the wrong reason. And that's what's hurting it, and that's what's dragging it down. And I think that's where a lot of the black pilling comes from, and the lack of understanding that when it's over, we'll know. But it won't be over until it's over. And nobody's going to tell us that. So moving on forward, where we talk about, for instance, we were talking about Netanyahu before, and the premise of saving Israel for last, and the president having just tidied up and created the peace board. Mm-hmm. How much of that do you think relates to saving Israel for last without there being a military operation or intervention? In other words,
I think it's all going on. And right now we have an epicenter right in front of us, because we have Epstein all being revealed. We have Obama and Hillary being exposed and revealed. All of these things are related. And now we have potential of some of the top level military fighters who were in the SEAL teams and et cetera, that people thought were dead, that could possibly come and be the witnesses, because they knew what happened in Benghazi. They knew what happened in Uranium One. They knew what happened, and they thought they killed them all. And so there's a brilliant thing that could be on the horizon with some of the names that I've been trying to find. And I thought I found them, and I thought I found their families and et cetera, et cetera. And, but all they said was, I think that's great. I think the mother started following me today, stuff like that. I didn't get any real answers. And now just this weekend, it was did you know that same one that I found the family back in June of 23, right at the time of the Doug Billings event I was in Branson, Missouri. Just this weekend were notices back and forth on Twitter that yes, that person is, and they're going to be testifying about Benghazi, and they're going to be testifying about Uranium One. And because what they did was use these, what they call secret soldiers, super soldiers, and et cetera, for themselves. And then they thought they killed all of them in one fell swoop, like 83 of them, I think it was. And I remember the number 83, whether they were all in that same situation, but in helio accidents and et cetera. And there could be real surprises. And so what I was doing by revealing that, yeah, I think we found him. I think we found it, because they erased their memories thinking they would never be able to get themselves back to reality and with their families. How horrible. You know what I mean? Just how horrible. And so if you are listening and you're one of the mothers who wrote to me and said, I don't know how my special soldier, my super soldier, my secret soldier could be so important. And then all of a sudden they say he's dead, but there's no death certificate. There's no body. I can't have any communication. I don't know what's happening. Can you help me, Sheila? Well, how can I help? I'm not connected to the military at all, but we prayed about it. And I said, I thought I was finding some of these. And wouldn't this be the most miraculous time to find out that these guys sacrificed all of that, waited all of these years, because a lot of this happened 2012, 2014, 2016, before President Trump even came in. And so if those guys have been protected by our military, and they're now going to be available now that things are under control, because they always killed all the witnesses that could testify against them, I think we're in for some really interesting days. But again, even when we clean up the horrific stuff going on now, guys, it's going to take a few decades to clean up all the layers. We can help it by doing as much as we can in our communities. And that's why God had me put Titus 1 in the new book. So go back and look at the chapter of Titus in Scripture and look up Titus 1, because Paul said, you got to have the elders who are not going to be able to be deceived. They're not going to be grifters. Those are the kind of people you need in, watching the budgets, watching what's happening, because they took us over before we were self-governing and set up a process where they have a merit-based system. They select all the candidates. And you think we just have rigged elections. It's all the layers, guys. It's all the layers. I learned so much with the Father over all these years. But boy, what I learned in that new book, that 3 years of research. But again, if I wasn't able to operate in 4 and 5D with him, I would have thought that Nineveh 6 was a beast. And Nineveh 6 is the number of man, because that's in the Bible. But Hebrew has the 4th and 5th dimension. And most of us don't operate beyond the 3rd. And that's what 5th dimension is. We're not just playing chess, but it is one of the most spectacular multi-layered chess operations you could ever imagine. And I can't do anything about any of that. And I'm not going to try and tell you what any of that is. But there was a very interesting little clip, and I don't know if we have time for it now, but the clip that John Michael Chambers did, they invited me on a military intel panel. And then he did a little short video, and it's, 6 or 7 minutes. And it's a 3.5 hour, but the 3.5 hour had 4 people on the panel. And all 4 were answering each question. And that's why it went on for 3.5 hours. We would have gone on longer. The guys stayed on with me for another half hour after John Michael Chambers departed the video. But then the producer hadn't had anything to eat. He was really thinking it'd be time for a meal. Guys, it's now been 4 hours. Can I just take a break here? So we had to do that. We had to just cut out at 4 hours. And so, but it was very, 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 very interesting. And I'm just so honored because I'm not military. They've never had a non-military on before. So I don't know if we have time for it this time or maybe next time.
Absolutely. Let's bring on that clip.
20 truth-speaking friends between July and December of 21 because of that bioweapon. But because I've lived, I found a patent. And this is the other side of it, Derek. The patent came out on 1/10 of 2017. It was 1/11 2017 when Fauci was at Georgetown saying our new president's going to be dealing with a highly infectious disease soon. And he was letting them know. I don't know if a lot of Americans really understand those were acts of war. 2020 were acts of war by even our allies, some of our Five Eyes. And so these acts of war are going to be dealt with. But to back up to that, there was a glorious thing that happened. And I don't know if people understand, they don't understand this Secretary of War. How did this happen? It's supposed to be Secretary of Defense. We've been defending all over the world on the other side of the world. We've been taking care of that hemisphere and everything's been ignored in this hemisphere. And our guys have been fighting all these battles over there, and well, we've been vulnerable here. So there's a few things. What Brad was mentioning about Canada originally, a lot of Americans don't understand Canada was supposed to be part of America. And what a lot of people in Canada and America don't understand is we've always been controlled by England. It wasn't just the corporation. We've never been free. We've never been independent until President Trump. And in calling it the 51st state, he's already positioned it by him sitting with the Betsy Ross flag and making notations about it. He's already made his comment. When he was at the meeting in Canada that he had to be pulled away from, this is a few months ago now, when he was in that meeting, he was wearing a pin, and it had the American flag, and on the other side had the Canadian flag on the same pin. One was swinging up one direction, one was swinging up the other. And he had a 51st on the other lapel. So he was making the message. He's coding all the time. But by bringing us back to Department of War, people don't realize this. We were originally Department of War. We were not Department of Defense. War means you're ready and you are going to protect your own people. Department of Defense, we've been sent all over the world to take care of them. So what was really amazing about Davos and the preparation for that was in going to Secretary of War. Why? What Derek was mentioning about Fauci at Georgetown. I experienced the bioweapon targeting at a Linwood event. I was in bed for 6 months. A lot of people don't know the details. I don't focus on it. But because I didn't go to hospital, the other 5 speakers all did and died within a month. I lost 20 truth-speaking friends between July and December of 21 because of that bioweapon. But because I've lived, I found a patent. And this is the other side of it, Derek. The patent came out on 1/10 of 2017. It was 1/11/2017 when Fauci was at Georgetown saying our new president's going to be dealing with a highly infectious disease soon, and he was letting them know. Now, what's crazy about this? This goes all the way back to our founding years, and that is that our government holds a % interest in that crazy U.S. patent of a bioweapon to take us out. Our government holds a % interest. And that's what Jefferson and Adams were taken out for on our 50th anniversary, because Jefferson fought it from the beginning. The centralized bank started in 1791. And in 1791, Secretary Hamilton started at Philadelphia, and it went all the way from New York down to Savannah, Georgia within months. That was 1791. We were only after an inauguration of Washington in 1789. So there's been no freedom in any of this. And going from a defense mode to a war mode keeps us protected. It's a completely different environment. So here we go. Now back to, you wanted to mention about Davos. So WHO, all of this was known. They were all involved in it. It's a US patent now to create this bioweapon to take us out. The bioweapon has 19 ingredients in it, and it's CV19, and 19 is the power number of the other kingdom. 20 is recycle unto death. And every generation, every century, going all the way back, I'm as far back as the 1300s. I can't find anything in writing in the 1200s. There was a pandemic every 20 year in every century since the 1300s. The one 100 years ago was not from Spain, was not the flu. It was the H1N1 virus, and that's on the CDC website in their archive section. So what we've been battling, and then when they wore masks, they died of bacterial pneumonia. So our president made it a quick thing where he said the following words that people have forgotten. He said, we're going to have this vaccine, we're going to develop it. And how many times did he bring his military guys out on the platform? And he said, when it is ready, our military will distribute it, because our military is the best at distributing something like this. And he brought the guys out that were going to be distributing it. Did you ever see anyone in the military distribute anything about a vaccine? Never. So that they were being distributed and they were doing experimental, and they were saying that it was forced to the people was all incorrect. And the reason the president did it fast, because he lost his grandfather while he was walking his father that day, came home, felt a little woozy, laid down, died, bacterial pneumonia. Why? Wearing a mask. He didn't want the children to have to be wearing the mask, because he knew we were going to lose people dropping on the street like they did 100 years ago. So this is where we are in this whole situation. Now that's a lead up in order to get to WHO, WEF, and I'm going to lean into League of Nations, UN, and also NATO. A lot of people don't realize when he first came in, he made all of the other nations belly up to the situation that they weren't paying anything. So Americans were paying the whole bill. So now we've narrowed it down, but we're still paying over 70%. And what's happening? They're bombing the other side of the world, and we're paying to rebuild it. And back in 2001 to 3, that being us bombing Iraq. And then we went and rebuilt it. In Afghanistan, and we rebuild it. We rebuild their communities, but not ours. So here's what's changed. This hemisphere is going to be the focus. And that's why he is adjusting everything. When he set up the peace board, there is nothing better than that. And he made sure it was done and completed and right in their face. He made sure that they understood about the WEF. You don't have the currency and censorship control over all the currencies and finances around the world. And WHO, you don't have anything to do with what we're going to do in our medical area because we're going to clean all of this up. He made it so clear. And to me, he's already out of WHO. He's already out of WEF. He's completely restructured NATO in having this peace board. And that takes care of NATO because why are we paying 70% to keep, sending our guys over and losing lives from our people on the Western Hemisphere to send them over there to be killed, and then we pay to rebuild everything? Why has this been going on? And it never was going to stop. Remember that famous Zelensky day when it was 40 minutes into that speech, and then J.D. Vance came in and Zelensky said he made him mad? Well, Zelensky didn't understand. J.D. Vance was asking the exact in order to what? Do the first audit of what was going over to Ukraine from our coffers, our taxes here in America. So all of that started a whole new situation. So what did Zelensky do? And all these pictures are in the new book because it was such a fantastic time to get it in the book, is that Zelensky then didn't understand that he wasn't operating properly with us. And then the Sun Tzu quote matches that when you have a leader that will do anything in order to be the leader, he will absolutely burn down his own country, kill his own people. And that's exactly what's been happening in the Ukraine. So the president has already prepared everything before he went to Davos. And I think this is true that he wasn't there last year. And this was his time to put all this together. And that's why when people say, I don't know that much is happening, they need to go and listen to the speech and listen to everything he did.
Oh, yeah. And when you look at that, first of all, with the jabs, I remember when they first came out in New York City, and they were giving them at the Javits Center, and the military was there, overseeing everything. Very, very, very precise. No forcing anybody, no controls over anything, but making sure that everything ran just so. But this goes back to, again, what the president said, besides saving the children, he made one other commitment to everybody, and that was America first, which is what it always should have been. But because of the fact that we were part of that globalist structure, it was everybody else first and us last. And all the people who were paying the IRS every year, money wasn't going to us, wasn't going to our infrastructure. And I have no problem with what has been our new agenda. I have no problem with it being called the Department of War. I have no problem with it being what it is. These are the things that people start to need to take a stand on and need to realize that we're not being selfish by wanting to take care of our own. You're only being selfish if you want to just take care of yourself.
Well, we were originally the Department of War. It was Jefferson that set up the Navy, and then the Marines and go to the shores of Tripoli. It's in the Marine hymn. Go take care of the problem over there so it doesn't come here. Go take care of it in Somalia so they don't come here. And now he's so funny. He said, there's nothing to Somalia. There's no business over there. They're thieves. They're pirates. That's their life. That's Somalia. You know what I mean? It's so refreshing because the truth is we haven't focused on this hemisphere. And the Department of Defense, as you go defend everybody around the world, the Department of War is you stay built up so they don't come against you. They sent our guys all around the world, left us vulnerable while we were taken advantage here by everything. There isn't a single thing they haven't done to destroy this nation. And can you imagine how angry they are in their little private meetings and their little secret societies where they're having all these meetings about us? These people are still living. I don't know what we're going to do. We tried the genocide and that didn't work either. And there's still a bunch of them still living. I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, it just would be fun. It just would be fun because Father is so good to us who stand with him. I cannot tell you, there is no way for me to have come through my life without him. There's no way. And I wouldn't know how to put it together the way he put it together because, again, only he knows the end from the beginning. And here we are. And the Department of War is reclaimed. America is being reclaimed. The connection with the Father in heaven, the only Lord that's living, the rest of the gods are all dead, is being reclaimed. We're going to have a major reclaim restoration going on in this country this year at the 250th because cultures don't last 250 years.
Well, this is one of the things I know that people are looking for, and one of the things I've spoken about a number of times, which is, I don't like inserting opinions to anything, but this is what my opinion of it has been, is the fact that I think that there's an end to this war coming because if we're going to have a year-long celebration come July 4th, we have to have something to celebrate. Not just the fact that it's 250 years of existence. So that's been my opinion of it. But if you were to give your opinion, how do you feel about the coming celebration? And will there really be a good reason to celebrate? Or is this something that's going to drag on beyond, in your opinion?
I think we have many, many reasons to celebrate. We're setting up state offices so that there'll be retention and retaining of what we're setting up nationally because people wanted school choice. And he did that during the first term. And people are like, why don't we don't have school choice yet? Well, you have to set it up in your state. The funding is through the state. And now that people are starting to ask questions about the funding, they're starting to notice the funding has been coming to the state and nobody's doing anything about it. So they're spending it. There was just a woman, and I forget where she was from. There was an ice storm that we all went through. This ice storm a couple of weeks ago. We even went through it in Georgia. I mean, I got inches of snow and ice, and we never get snow. Maybe every 10, 15 years, and it's just a scattering of snow that's gone that night. Well, we had freezing temperatures for 2 weeks. So we didn't get rid of the snow. We didn't get rid of the ice. My gardener came in. He didn't know what to do. And there was sun on his backyard. So his backyard was clear. And he knocked on the door to say, what do I do with your backyard? I said, what do you mean? He said, there's still snow there. And I said, you just leave it alone. It'll melt. And he said, well, it's not getting sun. I said, what do you want me to do? I said, there's nothing to do. Just give it time. But they don't even know what to do. So here we were going through this. And what did this woman do? She took her entire staff and spent $43,000 on a hotel room for her staff members to not have to be in the ice storm in their own houses. Took her staff and took them to the hotel and spent $48,000 on hotel rooms for a weekend because her staff shouldn't have to be in their homes during an ice storm. Who do they represent? This is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. So is there something we can do? Guys, I think you've heard all sorts of hints tonight of all different things that you can go out and do. And I trust that you're going to do them. And I trust that you're going to say, Father, I'm not hearing your voice. I want to hear it. I want to know what I can do. I want to be part of this because there's a whole nother side to this where the president warned us and Q warned us. The end of this movie isn't for everyone. Everything in Sodom and Gomorrah changed in a night. And Lot couldn't even get his son-in-laws, who knew the angels were there. The son-in-laws knew the time was now, and they still chose to stay in the pub and have a nice dinner and burned up because Sodom and Gomorrah was no more. When Noah got on the ark, guys, he'd been preaching it for more than 100 years. Nobody believed him. Nobody got on the ark. And people go, well, he should have understood about rain. Guys, it never came down from above. If you don't know the true story of Noah, the water always took care of the plants and everything. Everything was great, but they wouldn't come to the Father. And so he said, okay, I'm done. Build the ark. And for more than 100 years, can you imagine? More than 100 years, the story never changed. Noah's out there building that ark. More than 100 years he's building that ark. And nobody wants to get on it with him. So right in the last 7 days before Father closed the back of the ark and it left, that's when his family came on. And yet Noah was the only righteous one. By the time of his great-grandson, Nimrod, he said he went to the sun and came back the sun god. And that's what all of this, Osiris and his mother, Ishtar, Easter, that's how all of this came back. That's how all of this came back full circle. And that's what Constantine put us in. Guys, everything can change in a night.
History is proven.
So if you want to know, is this just going to be a party? This isn't about a party. This is about honoring the fact that the intervention of the Father, his hand is upon us. Are you and your family going to be here when that change happens? Everything is a personal choice. Choose this day who you will serve. It's a simple decision. Life, death. I've been with so many people, honored to be with them in those last moments of their life. And the breath of life from the only living Lord is what we have every day, many, many times, every minute. As that breath of life happens, in the next moment, they don't. That's how fast life changes. So instead of wondering what somebody's going to do and when they're going to do it and how are they going to organize it, guys, it's you and me. I want you to be here, but it's your choice. I'd like for you to be here. I'd like for you to figure it out. I'd like for you to take that step and say, Father, I want to be with you. I want to hear your voice. I want to do what you want me to do. Because I spent a lot of time. You guys think I've been doing this my whole life just because he's had me captured since 4. I still was told go out and be successful in the world too. I am so grateful he caught me again, that he brought me through all of these things. He brought me out of being on ABC News in San Diego. Whoa. He brought me out of having a medical legal corporation and then to put me through the justice system to show me how corrupt it was. Whoa. Then everything he has shown me, the identity theft, the underbelly of the credit bureau, the underbelly of the financial, the underbelly of the justice. He showed it all to me. I would have no reason to be able to connect the dots now. No way to do it. But he showed me all of that. And as my father said in the last conversation we had days before he passed, you think all that horrible, horrible stuff is never, ever going to matter. But soon, very soon, you're going to see just how much it matters. And that was 2011. He died November 5, 2011. And guys, it took a decade. But boy, did he show me it does matter. And when you guys think that I can connect all these dots, it's only because I lived it, only because I experienced it. And it doesn't mean everybody has to. I'm going to help bring as much truth to everybody as I can. But I can't be the one to make the choice for you. I can't be the one to have you say, yes, I want to be on that ark. Yes, I want to leave this pub. Yes, I want to be with the Father. I can't make that decision for you. But I hope you'll make it.
It's all in the way that you choose to live your life. It's all in what your values happen to be. Now, I've been known to say many, many times that to me, when they talk about this being biblical, that for the first time in humankind, that we're going to see the unification of man. We know that allegedly every country in the world is on board with this. Is that a distinct possibility?
Super Bowl was the first time all communications to every single nation. It was all tested out during the Super Bowl. It's been in different nations, or it's been global before, but never in every single nation, and it worked. And so now they can communicate to all nations in one communication. It's unity we've never had globally before.
Well, that's it, because it's a global initiative. Their ability to do this, and we know that there has to be some kind of event to happen to everybody around the world in order for this, for people's minds to flip and say, okay, enough. Do you think that that was almost like a final test? I mean, I know a lot of people have been watching. This is one of the things that I was discussing earlier today. Was a lot of people talking about every time they see, which is a staple of the industry, bars come up on somebody's broadcast. Oh, they're testing the EBS, when that's not what it is. When the EBS, trust me, everybody, when the EBS or the EAS gets broadcast, you'll know. You're not going to see bars up. That's not what happens. It's almost, for those of you who are old enough to remember, it's almost like the Outer Limits. We have taken control of your television set. There's nothing you can do. Well, that's exactly what it is, because they'll have control of every broadcast medium that is out there. Every single form of media will be used, will be seized, and will broadcast whatever it is that they're going to broadcast. So do you think that this might have been like the final, okay, good to go? Do you think that might be the possibility of that's what they did with broadcasting this globally and making it work?
Don't know if it's going to be through TV. I don't know those technical things, but I think it's a miraculous thing, because there are nations who needed the infrastructure to do this, and it's a major confirmation that it worked in every single nation around the world. Is huge.
Absolutely.
I just want to have, if it's going to be TV, I just want to have it on at the time. I don't have TV on very often.
Like I said, every single medium that is out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be TV, it's going to be radio, it's going to be social,
Mm-hmm.
the internet. It's going to be everything, because not everybody's on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's on the internet. People have different ways that they get their information. But no matter if you're watching your favorite news program, or if you're watching Respect, or if you're sitting and you're watching, reruns of Hogan's Heroes, it's going to be seized and it's going to be broadcast on every single medium that's out there, so that nobody misses the message. And that's the whole thing with being able to do this. That's the one thing technically I can pretty well say for sure, is that that's the way they're going to do it. That's the way they're going to handle it, because they do have that ability. They've proven that numerous times with shutting down power grids, with shutting down internet in different countries at different times, maybe just for shits and giggles, but they do it. But it shows that it works. And that's the advantage of the digital world that we live in, because it's just a flip of a switch. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if that's what it was a final rehearsal, let's say, to what they plan on doing. And I hope that that is what they do. And it's something that is going to rock people enough to finally give up the ghost and join hands and say, okay, let's get back to basics. Let's get back to doing good in the world and helping each other. There's there's so much that's been missed, and there's so much that's still out there misleading the people. There's so much that we all need to do, but it does come, again, from within, and it does come with direction. We, just as humans, have to learn to hear it and listen to it instead of taking our own direction and doing what we think is right. So, moving forward, where do you think we go with the children, with the wars, with all of the things that I guess you could sum them up in the 7 deadly sins? Where do you think we move forward with this? What do you think could possibly be a factor to flip that switch and get people to wake up and get on that right track?
I think it's the deprogramming. There was another miraculous thing that happened with Minneapolis. The woman who's coordinating, I sent out Lake and Riley, say her name in caps. When I sent that out, I said, because nobody's mentioning the name of the woman. They're just saying she didn't drive over his body. Remember when she attacked one of the ICE agents with her car or van or whatever she was driving. And so she rammed him. And then all the news media was, well, she didn't run over his body. Nobody drove over his body. His body wasn't driven over. He just kept repeating it from every angle. So here's the funny part that happens. And guys, this is what we're doing. So much is happening so quickly. So I put it out about Lake and Riley. All of a sudden, I get a picture of the woman who didn't drive over his body. She just hit him with her vehicle. So at good speed. And so then there's a picture of her. Then another woman finds out the rap sheet on that woman with that name. So she sends me the rap sheet. So then I put that out. Then once I put the rap sheet out, they go, oh, I know her. She was listed on the training program on how to go against the ICE agents and how to ram them and ram their vehicles, etc. And here's the program that she's in. And people go, oh, well, did you know? And there's a picture of Tim Walz and this right-hand gal. The right-hand gal is their top candidate for their state senate in Minnesota. Looks like anybody's neighbor, smiles all the time, nice personality. She's coordinating all the funding and all the attendance and all the structuring for all of the courses that are being taught, many of them in churches in Minnesota, in order to be ready to do the protests and ram your vehicle and yourself against these ICE agents and injure them. She's the woman coordinating it, and she's a candidate, top candidate for state senate in the Senate Assembly. It's assembly in Nebraska and California, so maybe it is in or unicameral in Nebraska, assembly in California. So whatever it is in Minnesota, she's running to be their state senator.
It's mind-boggling.
See, I know, okay, but we don't know who the enemy is. So when we look at these things, that's why prayer. That's why the relationship, it all comes back to that.
Let's take Minnesota again, okay, this is a personal thing to me because this is what I come out of. But everybody making a big deal over the fact that Don Lemon was arrested, quote unquote, violating his First Amendment rights. He's reporting on what was going on. Had that been a MAGA group, number one, busting in on a church service, interrupting a church service, threatening parishioners, making a big scene out of it, A, how do you think that would have gone? B, in my opinion again, coming from the business that I came from, one of the things that I've always noticed and has driven me nuts is the mentality of someone like Don Lemon, who will go into a church, allegedly, using his First Amendment rights, sees that the people are harassing parishioners, disturbing service and this and that and the other, and is videoing this, which is much akin to the people who go on the subways and see somebody either beating the crap out of somebody else or throwing them in front of onto the tracks in front of an oncoming train, and they video it instead of using their phone to dial 911 and report the incident. Now, when you look at that, and you look at the sanctimonious BS that's been put out there defending this lunatic, what do you say about that situation?
He didn't think they'd recognize him. He wasn't there as a newscaster. He wasn't there as a journalist. He wasn't a journalist when he was doing newscasting. It is what it is. I mean, he's gonna have to battle it himself. It comes down to our choices, and they're making these choices. That woman to do that. I mean, I have Norwegians at almost every suburb in Minneapolis. I used to tell the story that we don't get to go see the sights in the summer. We have to go see relatives, because we would stop and at one farm location on our way up to Minneapolis, and we would stop at one. They would see a Nebraska plate, know that it's us at visiting, and then they would call, and then we'd have to go have coffee at their house. So I said, I have relatives at every coffee stop in Minnesota. And Dad said, that's not fair. And I said, then why do we have to stop for so many times for coffee? But that's what Norwegians do. They drink coffee. And none of them would have ever guessed that it would be like this in Minnesota. And they all had to learn English when they came. They all had to learn English when they came. I just made a copy today, and I put it out on Twitter. It's one of the last things I put out on Twitter, and it's for insurance. And people are thinking, just like in California, we have 9 required languages that everything is printed in California. Why? Do we have to do interpretations and translations for ballots? Why is that happening? And so I put this picture out today on Twitter. And what I did was I gave the summary, just this one page of translation of a sentence instruction on an insurance form. And so this is what it was. Why do insurance forms have to be translated into multiple languages, requiring staff in medical offices, pharmacies, et cetera, to know all these languages? Because, guys, we have to have employees from all these nations. You see how they're doing this? Employees from all these nations do all these translations. I'm sharing one page. And by the time I noticed it, because I was shredding it, it started with the letter I. And here they are in alphabetical order. Italian, Japanese, Karen, I kid you not. I put in parentheses on the list, guys. Karen, it's a very strange lettering, but it's a Karen language. Korean, Laotian, Persian, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Tagalog, which is the Philippines, and Vietnamese. Now, why does my insurance have to pay to do all these translations and send me out all these pages? That's just one page of the translations of a sentence. But it's big enough that everybody can read them. And it's one sentence. And then it gives you the name of the language it's in. What are we doing? And when my relatives came from all the different parts of the world, they had to speak in English.
Yep.
My dad, they would still pray at home in Norwegian, but when they were at school, when they were out in public, they always spoke English. They honored the country that they chose to come to and speak the language. And California is adding languages every year. In the last election, which would have been 2024, I don't know what it's going to be in 26, they add languages every election. And we have 9 required languages that everything has to be in now. Our booklets are so big because the verbiage is so extensive, because they're passing, 200, 300 laws every single election. They got all these different things they want us to vote on. They don't have us vote on the critical ones. They just have us vote on the ones that they want to do. Like we had one vote. Did you know this? We had one vote in the primary for 24. And here's what they did in the primary. I'm sorry, the primary they just did in 25. And so they did primary. It wasn't even a regular election year. Okay. And you know what it was on? They want to, in the 26, 28, and 30 elections, to change the districts. But they'll change them back in 31. What are you supposed to trying to avoid in California? And it costs them $2.5 million to put that one thing. That was the only thing on the ballot in all these different languages. And then that's it. And they said it was approved. There's nobody that believes it was approved. And so now they've changed all the districts, and then they'll change them all back in 31.
Was that Prop 50?
I don't remember the number on it. That was the only thing on the ballot. That was the only thing on the ballot. But here's one that they went ahead and passed and didn't put it on the ballot. I can go to a notary and get a notary signature to go pick up your kids at the school in California, and I can go pick up your kids and you don't have anything to say about it. That wasn't on the ballot. All I need is a notary signature that I can go pick up your kids at your school and take them with me. And that wasn't on the ballot. That one thing on the ballot is all they did to change where you vote, how you vote, who can vote where in 26, 28, and 30. What does that tell you? They really don't want him in 28. I mean, just saying. They just don't want him in or any people to support him in 28.
How does that work? How does that work that some stranger, and you want to talk about your child trafficking and this and that and the other, how does that work that some stranger can go to a notary, get permission to take your kids from school without notifying you, without getting permission from you? Or they've already taken away enough parental rights in the schools. But where does that even make a modicum of sense? And
that's where we are. And changing districts. It costs $2.5 million to put it on the ballot. And it says right in there, it's going to cost every county. We're almost as big as the Eastern Seaboard, guys. Every county is going to cost a few million in every county to do the changes and do the ballots with the changes. And then the same millions to change it back. It's just, oh my God. It's just, anyway, it is what it is.
Shameless
we, the
plug.
people, have a lot to do in order to form a more perfect union.
Shameless plug. Vote for Lewis Herms. Vote for Lewis Herms. By the way, in regard to that, after the special that I aired with Vem Miller, who is allegedly one of the people who was trying to assassinate the president, and that was all dispelled along with one of the captains from Sheriff Bianco's sheriff's department. I offered the opportunity to the sheriff and his people to come on and rebut the information, and have received no reply back. So, and in my years in the business, if they didn't respond, they had something to hide. So, just saying. And if stuff like that is what's going on in California, not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. So, well, we are rapidly approaching the 2-hour mark here, which is...
I don't know how it happened, Mark. I don't know how it happened.
It's because you are...
Couldn't have been me.
You are...
It's enjoyable. It goes quick.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it's very, very informative. And that's why I love having you on. Anything in particular you'd like to discuss before we allow these people to hit the road?
Well, the new book is out in hardback. If anyone wants to order that, the hardback is available on Amazon at $35, the paperback at $30, and it's at $30 on the website. The website's at hisbest.org, and the ebooks are on the website for everybody. And the hardback, if you want an autographed copy, just write in and we'll send you the December newsletter if you didn't get it. And if you want a newsletter, you can go in on the contact form and page and fill out one for the newsletter. A lot of people are writing in the ministry request and they're requesting to get the newsletter. All I can do is write back to you and make sure that you go in and fill out the newsletter, because everything's done through the website. That was all set up so that you would automatically get it and not be, you would know if you're signing up for it, you're going to get the newsletter. And we're trying to get one out like every other month. I don't know if it's ever going to be faster than that, because there's just so much happening. We did a major one in December. And so if you want a copy of that, that gives you the link to do the autographed copy. And if you want an autographed copy, you go to Cornerstone on the homepage or on the donation page. And because of it double order and shipping, and we're paying all the expenses, we'll order the book for you at the $35, then we will get it, we will autograph it, and then we will turn around and ship it to you with a tracking number. And so it's $60, and that's if you go to Cornerstone. Don't go to PayPal, go to Cornerstone, because when you go to Cornerstone, it gives us your address, gives us everything. And so then we can just get that donation, turn around, order the book for you, get it autographed, and then ship it to you, and we'll be in communication about that. And if you're wondering, how come I'm not hearing from you, please check your spam folder and your junk folder for hisbest.org. You'd have an email from us, because sometimes we write to people 3-4 times and they're still using the contact form because they think they're not hearing from us. So if we can just kind of check around and see, maybe you have some communication from us. Someone donated to PayPal and wondered what was happening with the autographed book. And it's not just one someone. I've had to refund all of those and start over with the Cornerstone, because we've got to keep that accounting up, and Cornerstone keeps the address and everything, and then everything gets handled for you. So you have to do anything else, you do the donation and everything else is handled, and you'll get the book autographed.
Don't do what I did last week. Don't leave out that one single pertinent piece of information. The name of the new book.
An eternal plan always trumps a human plan.
How apropos for what we're living.
Mm-hmm.
Apropos for what we're living. Again, you can find Sheila at hisbest.org, and you can find all of her books there. An absolute wealth of information and knowledge, and love having you on. Absolutely love having you on. As per usual, I cannot leave out the fact thanking Claudia, Kat, Carrie, and Doug, our mods and producers, who are just the absolute best. Without them, Sheila and I would be sitting here talking to each other and nobody'd be listening. So thank you guys. Always, always, always thank you. And for everybody else, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to leave you again with the song. And now you've got all the information. If you do want to get a copy of it, again, this, like I said, this was an act of love, and any copies of it that we sell are going to go to take care of the children, for ARC training, for ranches that to be built, or any other manner in which we can recognize, rescue, and rehabilitate these kids. Because that's what's the most important. So again, thank you, Sheila. Always a pleasure. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you again next week on Respect. Have a great week. Remember, from now on, it is Mondays. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
Children are the center of our world, and we do our best to show them that we care. But evil is lurking everywhere to steal their youth, kill their souls, show them things that they should never know. We live in the craziest of times, you never know what's in another's mind. We keep them safe, protect from bad, but they just choose behind. They've been here since the dawn of time, and their actions take a twisted mind. But we won't stand no more. We'll track them down for sure and make sure that they are gone forevermore. Why can't you see the crimes committed on our kids by the powers that be? How long do we wait? How many must die? How many loving parents need to cry? Who saves the children? We do, we do. Who keeps them safe and warm and so secure? We do, we do, we do. We do, we do. Who saves the children? We do, we do. And we'll fight the death to keep it safe for you. We'll fight for what's right with all of our might. And we won't leave one single child behind.